Coming up on First at 4, with the continued spread of the Omicron variant, healthcare workers are not only preparing for another surge in cases, but another surge in pandemic fatigue. And donations are still pouring into western Kentucky after those deadly tornadoes tore through the area earlier this month.
Things are looking soggier and soggier as we head towards 2022. I'll have the latest breakdown on the way. First at 4 is next.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. Governor Beshear is holding a news conference on the state's response to the tornado damage and the latest on COVID-19. You can watch that on our second channel, Heroes and Icons, or the WYMT Facebook page. But first at 4, with the new Omicron variant, healthcare workers are not only preparing for another surge in cases, but another surge in pandemic fatigue. WYMT's Alyssa Williams spoke to some in healthcare about what those preparations look like.
A pandemic that is lasting much longer than many people expected.
We're going on like 20, 21 months.
With the new Omicron variant, healthcare professionals are hoping for the best, but also preparing for the worst.
We're optimistic that the strain may be lessening, but it's really going to just be a take a wait and see approach to kind of see how things go.
It is an approach that can take a toll on healthcare workers, both physically and mentally. That is why many healthcare professionals are encouraging one another to try to adopt a good work and home life balance, make efforts to have a proper diet and sleep schedule, and to remember why you went into the medical field to begin with. Working together to get through a situation none of them could have imagined 2 years ago.
For the most part, it's just relying on each other and relying on God.
Encouraging our healthcare workers to stay strong and to continue staying positive in the weeks to come. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Director of Nursing at Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky, Rocky Jett, says COVID vaccinations have helped lessen the workload for our healthcare workers in the past year, so he still encourages people to get vaccinated if they have not already.
Continuing a mild and soggy finish to the year as we continue to watch gusty winds bring up warm air and even the potential for a few showers this afternoon. I-64 at Moorhead, you see we've seen more clouds than sun. A couple of breaks of sun out there, and we've actually seen most of the rain hold at bay after a few showers earlier this morning. Downtown Whitesburg, dry but cloudy right now. They sit at 63 degrees, that dew point of 59. It's a very spring-like air mass outside. You see most of us, the further south you are, the slightly cooler you are, low to mid-60s. Get up further to the north, Irvin's at 68, so is Moorhead. And yeah, it feels like spring outside. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting at times up to 18 to 20 miles per hour. We had a 20-mile-per-hour gust in Hazard not too long ago, so we continue to see some rather gusty conditions. Few of those clouds continuing to work through. Some of those sprinkles may be reaching the ground, but not all of it is headed our way quite yet. You'll definitely, though, want to keep that WYMT weather app handy, because we will definitely be seeing the chance for a few more showers as we head through the nighttime hours, and we stay very mild as well. Warm enough to be considered daytime highs for this time of year, except they're happening at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll have the latest on one of 2 rounds of showers and maybe even some storms headed our way coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
It sure hasn't felt like Christmas or December in the last few days. Evan, thank you. Families in Taylor County are still recovering after an EF3 tornado swept through that county earlier this month. All that's left in many areas is barren land and slabs of concrete as bulldozers have come in to clean up and clear the areas where debris once was. While several families still struggle to recover, many from across the Commonwealth and beyond have come together to help out.
Our volunteers have just been fantastic. They have come from other states and other counties. Our surrounding counties they've offered large equipment to come in and help clean up. And it has, and people have accepted it.
One major effort to help out comes from the community itself, as 7 churches in the county are coming together to help feed those that are volunteering and who are impacted by the tornado. We'll take a closer look at that coming up at 5:30. We first told you earlier this month about Gray Television, our parent company's partnership with the Salvation Army to raise money for Western Kentucky storm victims. We now know those efforts have helped raise nearly $600,000 and counting. Now, anyone interested in making a donation can still do so in a few different ways. You can still text HL Tornado to 51555 to make a donation to the Salvation Army, donate by phone to 1-800-SAL-ARMY, or donate online. We have more information on how to do it on our website. 100% of the money raised is going directly to disaster survivors. President Biden and his COVID response team are briefing the nation's governors as Omicron cases sweep the country. Daily cases have spiked to more than 176,000 people, the highest rate in nearly 1 year. Home tests are also sold out at many locations, forcing many to spend part of the holiday weekend waiting in lines to get tested. President Biden has vowed to increase testing availability, opening new federal testing sites and buying 500 million at-home tests with plans to mail them out for free, but that won't start until January. In the meantime, that surge led to a difficult Christmas weekend for thousands of Americans. Many travelers found themselves on epic journeys after infections among pilots, crew, and airline staff caused last-minute flight changes. From Friday to Sunday, more than 3,000 flights were canceled across the U.S. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti has more from LAX Airport in Los Angeles.
I think I felt pretty deflated, sort of dispirited.
Spending Christmas Eve alone in an airport hotel wasn't what Rohit Tawani had in mind for the holidays this year.
Midway through my first flight, got a notification that my connecting flight was canceled and that there were no other flights for the day, and the next earliest flight was going to be the following afternoon, which would mean that I was going to miss being at home for Christmas and miss Christmas Eve with my family.
Tawani was told his flight was canceled because of COVID-related airline crew shortages.
It's frustrating that the pandemic still keeps affecting our lives in so many different ways, even 2 years out.
Tawani wasn't alone. More than 2,000 flights were canceled on Saturday and Sunday, in part due to COVID. United Airlines said the nationwide spike in Omicron cases this week has had a direct impact on our flight crews and the people who run our operation.
Omicron is the Grinch that stole Christmas from airline passengers.
Henry Hardevelt is a travel industry analyst.
Airlines can't operate flights without the required number of pilots and flight attendants. Safety comes first.
And now, several airlines are calling on the CDC to update its COVID guidance for the fully vaccinated and reduce the quarantine isolation period from 10 days to 5 for those who have breakthrough cases.
The government approved this request for the healthcare industry. And honestly, if it's good enough for hospital workers, for nurses and doctors, I think it should be good enough for the airline industry as well.
It wasn't just trouble in the skies. The cruise ship industry is also facing COVID disruptions. 3 cruise lines had outbreaks on board in the last week, with dozens of passengers testing positive and forced to quarantine.
You had to be fully vaccinated and you had to have a negative test 2 days before. I mean, what more could they do before you aborted the ship?
A lot of frustration. Hardevelt says some of the best advice for travelers, especially if you're flying, is to sign up for text alerts. That way you'll be notified immediately if there are any disruptions to your plans. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Health officials continue to push for all Americans to get vaccinated and boosted, even though the country is seeing more breakthrough cases with Omicron. One team of Ohio doctors is making waves in the world of healthcare after performing a historic surgery, successfully removing a tumor off of an unborn baby's heart. It is only the second time in medical history the fetal surgery was successful, making it a major step forward for expecting mothers and their babies. Samantha Drennan was 6 months pregnant when they found the tumor, and chances of survival were low. But after discussing and weighing options, the doctors and Samantha decided even if it was a long shot, trying the surgery was the way to go.
Dr. Najam did what he might do on a baby after birth. He did a cut toward the middle of the chest to open up the rib cage to expose this little baby's heart to help peel the tumor off of the heart. Pretty amazing stuff.
After the removal, little Ryland was put back in his mother's stomach for 10 weeks. Then he decided to come out early to a world he has already impacted in a big way. He is now 5 months old, with mother and baby both being perfectly healthy. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Monday after Christmas. The Dow closes up more than 352 points, so a good start to the week on Wall Street. Straight ahead on First at 4, nearly 50 million Americans get sick every year from something they ate. We have some tips on how to keep it from happening to you.
And scattered showers will complement the warm air moving in as we head through the week. I'll have all the latest on the way.